I'm Carrie Baker.
I'm Kevin Baker.
And we have 3 girls. Charlotte is 8, and Lucy is 6, and then Hattie is almost 4. And Hattie lost her hearing when she was 18 months. She got sick with meningitis, and that is essentially what caused her hearing loss.
She came very sick, in a very short period. Prior to that, she was, normal hearing kid. You'd play all the games. She was just starting her speech at that point.
So she probably only had about 5 to 10 words, a couple baby signs at that point. So, yeah, when we were in the hospital, they did an ABR, and that hearing test indicated she had a moderate to severe hearing loss. And I said, oh, what does that mean? And the audiologist said, well, she's going to need hearing aids. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but not really an indication there was anything too severe at that point.
And, for us, like when we were in the hospital, we've just gone through this really, really hard week. I mean, she almost didn't make it.
Yeah.
And I can remember when they were still trying to figure out if it was meningitis, they decided to put her on another antibiotic, and they said, well, this can cause hearing loss. And I'm thinking, okay, well, we'll deal with that later. Just save my baby. It was not something that I needed to worry about at that point. And I stayed in the hospital with her every night, and I know that the engineer and Kevin would go home and Google things and
trying to figure out what it is and what's going on.
And for me, I just knew I would completely lose it and break down if I was searching and seeing what all the possibilities are for meningitis and what our daughter was facing. So I kind of had to just disconnect from that and just I don't know, I just felt like it was my job to just hold her and love her. And
yeah, and then, like I said, she was really lethargic the first couple of days of when she was in the hospital, and then she started fighting, and then we knew she was going to be okay at that point. So we were able to take her home after 5 days and continue the antibiotics at home for 10 days, and scheduled to follow up with the audiologist to do another ABR. And then our insurance company says, oh, well, that's out of network because you have to go through your own, because she had to be transferred over to St. Luke's Children's Hospital, which was out of network. They gave us like a temporary gap coverage. So we had to find a new audiologist and get a new appointment, and they didn't do an ABR. They just did like a sound booth, and she was super distracted because there's bins of Legos. I'm like, oh geez, and they just said, yeah, she's gonna need hearing aids. I mean, it didn't seem like they did a really thorough test. And and then when we finally did get the hearing aids, like they pretty much just like gave them to Carrie and then sent us home. And I remember getting home, and I'm like, oh, okay, how do these all work? And she's like, I don't know, they just went over so fast. And we're like, wait, like people need to tell us more what's going on here, and how to utilize them. And
well, and they did, but I don't think we had all the information given to us up front, and then we weren't really noticing how to respond. And so I went back maybe a week or so later. She says, oh, okay, well, we'll turn up the volume. That should make a difference. And then we had another follow-up appointment probably a couple weeks after that. And I remember us talking. I'm like, I don't think Hattie remembers her name. Like, she's not responding. And we were banging things kind of across the room, and she wasn't turning her head. So we were really concerned. So I went in again and expressed our concerns. So they said, okay, well, we'll do another ABR. And they're like, oh, I think we can do this not sedated. I'm okay. And she was kind of moving around, but, it kind of came back as, well, Hattie's a little bit of a mystery, and it's not exactly what you want to hear about your child. So she had a colleague, the audiologist had a colleague doing the ABR with her, and they were able to, I guess, match up some of the things from the initial ABR test, but she was still kind of scratching her head. She says, well, I'm going to give this some thought and I'll get back to you. And then I think it was that afternoon, they said, I need you to call the Elks for a cochlear implant evaluation. And I mean...
And they had some urgency about it. They were basically, sounded like they were a little bit panicked of, you need to get over there, very quickly.
So at the time, Kevin was traveling Monday through Friday to Salt Lake, so he wasn't able to be there for the appointment. And we had gone in and done the sound booth test, and Hattie's on my lap, and I can hear the noises, and she's not responding. And I'm just like, oh gosh, this is not sounding so good. And so, our audiologist said, Hattie can't hear. And this is really hard.
Yeah. And
so I had to text him because he's in Salt Lake, and they gave us some time to kind of gather our thoughts and feelings. And
I think that night I flew back in, and I think they had a cochlear seminar going on that day. So I went over to there, and I think there was only one other family that was everybody else was older, but I met the
Dr. Beck,
the
surgeon, the ENT,
and I saw her at that point. My biggest fear was just that her hearing loss wouldn't be profound enough to get the cochlears, because I had read up enough that that she wouldn't hear certain frequency ranges, if she was right on the border, and that was my biggest fear at that point. And they kind of explained to me the process, and that that she was a strong candidate, what they knew at that point. And
so for us, I think the decision to do the implants, it really wasn't a decision. It was, okay, we're going to do this because
when can we schedule?
We want what's best for our child, and okay, this is an opportunity to give her so many things, and we can do that. So I don't think we ever questioned our decision to do bilateral implants. I think we both felt really good about that. And then, so it moved pretty quickly. She had the scans and the MRI, and everything looked good. And then...
But the whole time we were battling this ossification of her cochlears, that they then, told us about it at that point of, hey, she's, like I said, her cochleus can ossify, and if it gets to that point, then she's not going to be able to have the cochlears. And then it felt a little more rushed.
Urgent, very urgent. And so the MRI was clear, and then 3 weeks later she had the surgery, the ENT said, well, her right ear was starting to ossify. So just in that 3 weeks, I feel like we just really dodged a bullet, and we're just so lucky that we were able to do that for her. But the first year was really hard. I don't know how many times I had to put those magnets back on her head, and she's pulling them off, and we're trying headbands and bonnets and you name it. Everything. I'm on the sewing machine every night trying to come up with something, and
then she's your typical 2-year-old. She gets mad or anything like that, and she doesn't listen to it. She just flip them right off.
And we had some sensory issues come up, so we started doing OT, and that really helped. It helped a lot. I've been doing that the last 2 years, and helping her to kind of heavy work really helps to get her regulated, and we've used weighted blankets and a lot of swinging. We have a couple swings in the playroom, so we have just a healthy OT diet there on the ready when we need it, and that's really been a big help. But that first year was a lot of appointments. I think we had appointments just about every day, between the infant toddler program, speech therapy, and then Idaho State University had a toddler group for kids with hearing loss, which was amazing. So I got to meet a couple other families and learn some listening spoken language strategies, and so It's definitely been a hard journey, but I'm just amazed at how far we've come, and Hattie's starting to talk spontaneously, and you know, it might not be the clearest speech, but a lot of times we can figure out what it is, and she dances and moves to music, and she's just a typical, now almost 4-year-old, and it's a slow journey, but I think I never doubted any choice that we've made for her. And I'm excited to see her close the gap and see what she can do. You know, it's super exciting to just little baby steps to see where she's going. And so it's fun to see these other kids that are here on the retreat and their speech and what they've accomplished, and it's really great.